In this box I've got one of the world's largest spiders, and today he's getting a new home. This is Dinnerplate, our mature male Theraphosa apophysis, and you may recognise him from our Scottish invert show pickup video. If not, make sure to go back and check that out after this video. Today we are going to be rehoming him into a brand new enclosure that is suitable for such an incredible spider. Now, rehousing any spider can be quite a daunting task, but we can make it smoother by making sure that we're prepared. And that means having a few pieces of equipment close to hand. First is a catch cup. And for a spider of this size, we're going to need quite a big catch cup, so I've got a box here for that. Next is a good pair of tweezers. So I'm going to be using these ones that have a nice rubber tip on them, and that just means if Dinnerplate here does decide to give it a little chomp, it's not going to hurt or break his fangs, because they've got a nice soft silicone tip. Along with that, I also like to have a little wooden skewer. So I've got a bamboo skewer here with just a piece of cork glued to the end. And this is brilliant for just kind of hurrying your spiders along if you need to move them around. It's also really good for tamping down the substrate as well. I also like to have a few brushes. So I like to have one that's got slightly tougher bristles and then one that's got nice soft bristles for moving them along. This is just a makeup brush, which is brilliant for rehousing spiders. And then last thing you want to have close to hand is just a good stiff piece of plastic or cardboard. This is really good because if we do need to get our spider in our catch cup, we can slide it underneath to be able to lift it and move it, or we can use it to barrier off little areas as we're moving our spider around its enclosure. I've also got a white piece of styrofoam that I use, just because the see-through stuff isn't always the best for the spiders. Sometimes they can't always tell it's there. And last is the enclosure itself. So today we are going to be using this glass terrarium for Dinnerplate. It's 60 long by 45 tall by 30 wide, which is plenty of space to allow him to move around and do all the things that he wants to do. It does have a mesh top at the moment, which isn't great for spiders as their tarsal claws can sometimes get stuck in it. So that will be getting changed out for a hard plastic, which is also going to help keep the humidity in, which is really important for these Goliath Birdeaters. And as these spiders come from a really high humid region, almost swampy at times, we want to make sure that we have the things in here to represent that environment. So we need a good substrate that is going to help lock in moisture that can later come out into the air to increase humidity. And for that, I am going to be trialling the Spider Life Substrate blend from ProRep. I normally make my own blends using topsoil and sphagnum moss and leaf litter and things like that, but I wanted to try one of the ready-made blends to see if this could help speed up some of these rehouses that I'm having to do, because I might have quite a few coming up in the future. And with that, let's get started. We have to use a second bag to get enough in, but that's fine. What we're going to do now is, because of this bar at the front, we can't get it too deep here. So we're going to kind of make a mound up towards the back. And that should be enough substrate for it to get a good burrow going. And we're going to include its old piece of cork bark. So it's got something a wee bit more familiar, if it wants to use it. And we said that this is a spider that loves humidity. So we are going to add some sphagnum moss around. But we're not going to stop at sphagnum moss because obviously we want some greenery in here. So we're also going to add in some patches of forest moss. So just scattering that about a little bit is going to let it kind of sit into the soil and start to grow. It develops its little root network. Now obviously we are going to go bioactive with this, and there's a good chance he will just rip it all up, but that is going to include some plants now, and these Tradescantias are brilliant for setups like this. Sereni's Pothos was needing a little chop back, so I've got a couple of these that we can pop in. Pop it right under the moss there and that'll help it root. I think another piece of cork bark. Getting there's only a few more things we need now. So I am actually going to move this stuff because I want his water bowl to be over here. Now, the reason I've put quite a lot of moss in here is because we want a high humidity, and a low humidity is to do with air water content. We don't get it by spraying water into the enclosure like what a lot of guys do. What you need to do is get a soil or a substrate that's going to be able to lock in a lot of moisture that can slowly evaporate into the air, and that's what's going to increase your humidity levels. If you just spray the tank with water every now and then, it's going to evaporate off way too quickly. There's not going to be any extra locked in to slowly rise up, and you can end up with really bad mould and damp spots and stagnant air if you do it that way. So having some nice big patches of moss and some good substrate with a lot of bioorganics in it is going to help you increase that humidity level without having to worry too much about the mould growth. And now we're going to add in my favourite accent to these terrariums, and that is some good leaf litter. So this is Habitat leaf litter I'm using, which is brilliant. And you can probably see already the difference that is making to the look of this terrarium. It makes it look like a forest floor. And spiders love using it to pull up into their webs. Use debris to help build their web shoots. And then I'm just going to add in a few wee bits of lichen, see how that does. Again, vary up the textures and the colour a little bit. And I think we're done. And it is now time to try and get this big guy into his new home. Now, he is a bit feisty at times. Oh, he's already kicking, which is why we've got the gloves on. You didn't want to get the hairs for these guys in you. And they do also have quite a nasty bite. Not so much venomous, but more just the power of those big fangs. See if we can get them in. Look at him. Is that not incredible? Now these guys are my favourite spiders of all time. I don't think you can get better than these big Goliath Birdeaters. They've got amazing personalities, they're amazing to feed, they are huge, they're impressive, and with the areas they come from, these are the type of habitats that I used to work in when I was more involved in academia. So they have a special place in my heart, especially the ones that you can find in places like Peru. Right, now let's see if we can get some better shots. Now we have got one last thing to make it official. A nice squint Clanny Critter sticker. Well guys, you'll have to let me know what you think of Dinnerplate's new enclosure. And if you know why he's called Dinnerplate, leave that down in the comments as well. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I think it looks like a nice natural enclosure. Now I just need to find somewhere to put it though. I'm thinking I'd quite like to have him maybe on the computer desk, so as I'm working, he will be there just next to me cheering me on. And he's always out and about exploring and looking around, so it'll be really cool to have a nice active spider out on show all the time. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun making this enclosure. If you would like to see more rehousing videos or maybe even some care guides, let me know and I'll see what I can put together for some of the other spiders in my care. And if you're looking for another way to support the channel, we now officially have a Patreon. So I'll put that down in the description. Don't feel any pressure to join, but if you want to give a little helping hand, it would be very appreciated. And there is going to be some exclusive stuff going up on Patreon in the future. There is already some sneak peeks of the videos that are yet to come out up there. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, cheerio and Rasta.